This video and all other videos on this channel for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all. Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel and I can't believe it's Thursday. Time seems to be speeding up for me. I don't know about you guys. Maybe I'm just getting a bit older. But anyway, today I want to point out a few things and I want to put most of the focus on what I believe are some subtle tells from the market that we are extremely close to the turn. Not just from a cycle perspective, but you know me, well, if you know me, you know I'm a sucker for my subtle tells from the market. So I'm going to show you a few of those things that I'm looking at. I think there's some big opportunities just around the corner in practically all the markets I follow. So I'm going to show you that as well. We're going to take a detour as always via a few of these tabs that I've got open. So without further ado, let's get into this. First of all, a bunch of people continuously tag me in things like this, right? Because now DT is apparently going to consider banning Congress. There was other senators, I believe, that are also thinking about proposing this. Now, the reason people always tag me in this is because of that melt-up chart, right? At the top of this chart here for a very long time, in yellow has been Congress banned from owning stocks. The whole idea is pretty simple. We saw it with the Fed officials back here, and the expectation was that they may well repeat the same thing. Now, they didn't do it here. So I wonder if we're going to get some kind of relief, then they ban them, okay? And then it won't be too far from the expectations. But it does seem to be being put out there for people to take note of. Now, I always say this when I cover this topic, and that is they have got a very, very long history of saying they're going to do this or proposing it, and then nothing actually happens. But I think no matter how critical I may sometimes be of this guy, he tends to, at least by my observation and experience, do the things he says he's going to do. So if he is the one that's starting to propose this, then I would say it probably carries more weight than when most people propose this idea. Also, he is clearly in the middle of a big shake-up at the moment, and he's clearly taking on the job of changing as many things as he possibly can inside of the government. So I guess my point is, if anyone can do it, it would be this guy. But again, I do think it's important to be objective here, rather than just say, I told you so, because they have been suggesting something like this will happen for years and years and years, and we haven't actually got there. But the reason people do get excited and tag me in this kind of thing is because it's been written here for a good couple of years. I think we added it to the chart somewhere in this neighborhood, if I'm not mistaken. Will it, won't it? Who knows? But if it does, we can at least look back here and say, well, we've seen it before and it marked the top. So something to keep an eye on for sure. Shout out Jim here because he pointed out you can apply the Google search trends to YouTube, which I didn't know. But take a good look at this, right? Since about Christmas time, maybe early January, we have fallen approximately 50%, which totally fits with what I was saying yesterday in the live stream, that I fear a bunch of people are quitting and leaving the space. I guess it's always the way, right? Retail and new guys FOMO in at the top and then the price declines to shake them out and they leave. So I guess some of that is to be expected. But if you haven't seen the live stream from yesterday, go and check that out because I think I make quite a compelling case for why it just might be worth hanging around here and weathering the storm for a few more weeks at least. Also, if you've been following the channel, you know we're expecting that cycle low for Bitcoin, early May timeframe. In fact, all of the cycles are synced up for that early May timeframe. We're going to get to the charts in a minute. Remember what I always say as we approach these cycle lows, right? Expect sentiment to be reset and flushed. Expect some kind of news to show up for us to blame the downside price action on, okay? And then expect us to find the cycle low and reverse. And as we reverse, we then will find a new catalyst to explain away the price action. But ultimately, the path of price is most probable to follow the cycle structure, and therefore we can kind of disregard the news. With that said, we do seem to perhaps have some kind of FUD story here building, which could potentially be used to explain away the upcoming decline into the cycle low. So it's fascinating to me how often these types of headlines show up as we are approaching those timing windows for the cycle lows, and apparently this time is not different. Do I think this is going to pose a problem for Bitcoin? No. Do I think this is going to tank the price? No. But are we most probably going to get a decline into a cycle low and a reversal? Yes. We can say we're certainly going to at least get to the cycle low window and see some kind of reaction. The big question is it to a lower high and a rollover? And does everything die? And do we go straight into a recession? Or am I going to be correct in my expectation, which is that we have got new highs just around the corner? Time will tell. But as you can see, we are getting dangerously close to entering this timing window here. So fits in with that theme. Don't quit just yet, okay? At least wait for the cycle low, at least wait for a swing and give it a couple of weeks. And then if you must insist on quitting, quit in June. I also found this is the internet's favorite fractal. Anyone that has been following me knows I'm not really a big fan of this whole M2 thing. I don't think the correlation is as high as people think it is, but just looking at this, just eyeballing this, it does look like we might have bottomed already. I do still favor that cycle low, as I've been saying, early May, But remember, that low can be a higher low as well. So if we go back here, that could ultimately be the low. Just because I'm calling for a cycle low doesn't mean it has to undercut that low. It could. I'll be open to that. I don't really think it matters at all, because either way, whether it's lower low here and a swing, we get long here and we put a stop below the low. And if it's a higher low, which I have a sneaky suspicion it might be. The reason I say that is because usually when you get this kind of chopping around and a range-bound consolidation cycle, it tends to produce a higher low into the end. And as I've been making the case over and over and over again, I think too many people are too confident they're going to get to buy in this logical level. And whilst that would be a totally logical place to come back to, I just think the max pain trade is to make it look like we're going to do that and then blow it off. And then everyone that was waiting in here will be thinking, oh no, got to chase it. So as ever, I don't really care about the level, I care about the time. We can predict the time. Predicting the price level is quite difficult. But again, if this thing's going to form a higher low, number one, that would totally fit the expectation. It would perfectly fit my expectation for a cycle low. And number two, this would actually turn out to have more credibility than perhaps I have been giving it. So we may just be bottomed. Again, who knows? There's a lot of debate out there and conjecture about whether or not we need to use a 12-week lag, or I know some people, well, I don't know what the number is, 107-day or 110-day lag and 108-day offset. Everyone's got their own kind of made-up number for this. But I still maintain that really all we're doing is working out a consolidation cycle, finding that cycle low, and then I think it's party time. And I guess the M2 crew will come back here and say, that's why. And maybe it is, right? Maybe this is our narrative to explain away the price action for the cycle. Who knows? But for now, all I know is we're getting dangerously close to getting in here. And as Christian points out right here, okay, this time is different for Bitcoin, right? Here's the 2017. We make it all the way up here, take a 39% pullback, and then we go on to put in the final blow off top rally. Exact same setup for the prior bull run, okay? We make it up to the fib level, 34% correction, off we go one final time to new highs. And where are we today? Bouncing right off the fib level. So far about 33% decline. And therefore I still maintain, okay, that we probably have another high left in this thing. Never say never. The first step is believing. The last couple of things I want to point out before we get into some charts are gold. I think we really need to talk about gold here. And then I'm going to show you that the stock market has got some subtle tells, as I said during the intro. I know the current gold market structure has got people FOMOing in, and I'm seeing a lot of questions with people saying, can I chase here if I wasn't a member during the weekly cycle low and I haven't got my exposure to the miners? Like, what do I do? I understand there's nothing worse than watching a market go parabolic and you're not being part of it. But understand this, FOMOing in up here, okay, makes it really difficult to, number one, manage the risk, and number two, I mean, trends like this don't tend to last very long, right? I mean, this is literally straight up and vertical. Now, if I apply the cycles here, we also know that we have gone from the weekly cycle, 1, 2 right trans, 3 right trans, so therefore the fourth on a balance of probabilities is expected to left translate and fail. Does this not look like we are getting all of the gains of the cycle done to the left-hand side of the midpoint, setting up for left translation and failure into a weekly cycle low? I suggest to you, don't be too trigger happy just yet to FOMO into gold. If you haven't got your position, fine, okay? But there will be other cycle low shakeouts. There's always weekly cycles. They occur every 6 months or so, okay? And they're going to continue to occur. So by all means, do whatever you want, okay? FOMO in at the top if you want. And maybe, just maybe, this has got a lot more legs left in it, right? Maybe it goes all the way up to 4.5, 5K, and then it crashes, okay? But I do think we are getting to the point where this looks suspiciously to me like we've got those 3 right trans, left trans failure into the weekly cycle. And then I think we've got big opportunity again. So couple this with the historic observations for gold. And remember that during the 70s bull run, we saw gold drop nearly 50%. During the 2008 squeeze, we saw it drop 33%. And even just after the pandemic push, okay, the thing dropped 22%. We actually have the exact same setup right now with price historically stretched, right? Keep in mind, right, this is not usual, this is not normal for gold, right? This is very, very rare price action for the metals. And we are currently in outlier territory. Okay, so blow off tops can go on longer than people can stay solvent, okay, for sure. And they can always go higher than anyone thinks is possible. But we can look at these metrics and say, number one, the cycles are due to top soon. And number two, we are in outlier territory getting ready to see some kind of big correction to the downside. So the last thing I think anyone wants to do is FOMO in here hoping to get to 4K, only to see the thing reverse, print a weekly cycle, and then we would all be able to sit here and say, well, that makes total sense because it was late in the weekly cycle, right? So if you are suffering from gold FOMO, I totally understand, okay, but patience usually pays off. And I showed this yesterday in the live stream, but this is a fantastic chart as well. Notice how we've got gold down the bottom, okay? Gold pumps, and then it goes sideways, right? Weekly cycle low here, bit of basing, another weekly cycle low, then it goes parabolic again. And during the top of gold, moving into the base and the weekly cycle low formation, Bitcoin goes parabolic. Then what do we get? Okay, again, gold puts in a blow off top, even though it's a smaller blow off top than what we're currently experiencing, it is still a blow off top. Okay, then it comes down into a weekly cycle low, bases, another weekly cycle low, and resumes. And it is during the top of gold that Bitcoin then goes parabolic. And today, what have we got? Even more parabolicness, if that's a word, it's not, from gold, getting ready to what? That's right, top and decline into a weekly cycle low, possibly even another weekly cycle low thereafter, and then we can get pushing again on its way to those much bigger numbers. But it's this key part here, the top coming soon for gold, that should resolve to Bitcoin squeezing higher. So the last thing I think you want to do here is discount Bitcoin and say, well, Bitcoin's topped, Bitcoin can't possibly go to 150 plus K, while simultaneously aping in to gold at the top, only to watch Bitcoin go parabolic and gold work its way down to that weekly cycle low. Okay, so plenty of opportunity here. Okay, number one, because gold is going to, if it continues to blow off, give the people that are already in position a place to take some profit off. If you're not in position, or you're looking to add to your stack, or you're looking to add more miners and stuff like we are in the member section, then there's a weekly cycle low coming. Okay, whether it's here, and it could even be, as I just showed on the prior chart, that we kind of top weekly cycle low, and then maybe have to work a whole nother weekly cycle low out here, kind of chop around, right, reset some of this move, and then go. So we might actually have two very nice opportunities to play weekly cycles here, while simultaneously having an opportunity here to get behind Bitcoin as it squeezes to new all-time highs. And again, if it does that, will it be surprising? Will you be shocked? Or will we be able to look back at all of this stuff I keep showing every day and say, you know what, kind of made sense, right? It was kind of there, right in front of us, waiting to be exploited. The last thing I wanted to talk about before we get into a couple more charts is the S&P 500 is very close to printing a DeMark 9 to 13 count in the futures market, which is indicative of trend exhaustion. So this trend to the downside is apparently potentially getting ready to be exhausted here. And why is that so significant? Because of course we are approaching that cycle low. Now, as I was saying, subtle tells to me are extremely important. If this thing does what it's expected to do, which is make a lower low into that cycle low time frame in reverse, okay, then absolutely the base case is very much still that we have to expect the lower high. We have to use this to flip short. That's our stance, right? The top is in until proven otherwise. But if that whole idea is wrong, if this is a fake breakdown, just a shakeout before new highs are around the corner, if my top signal and top call is going to be invalidated here for the stock market, then I would expect to see a higher low come out here, which would be indicative that this is just an ABC correction. Then we go 1 into 2, higher low, and then we can look for a big push. I will still have to have the base case as the lower high. I will still have to be drawing trend lines underneath it and managing risk. I'll still have to be operating with the assumption that until proven wrong, I'm right, okay? But subtle tells from the market, okay, is if this trend is going to exhaust into a higher low, into this cycle timing window, okay, if we're going to do something like this, higher low, and then break out, then to me, that would be the first hint from the market, the first subtle tell that we just might have a chance at seeing all-time highs. And for me, this would also reconcile the fact that whilst I'm currently expecting a lower high for the stock market, I'm also expecting new highs for Bitcoin. And a lot of people have a problem with that. I know it's not something we're used to seeing. That's just my read on the charts, okay? So maybe, just maybe, that read is incorrect. Maybe if Bitcoin is going to go to all-time highs, then so is the stock market, in which case, you know, there's worse problems to have. That just means we stay long and strong for longer, okay? We make more money out of the cycle low. I'm no problem with being wrong whilst making money. It's also possible that I'm wrong about Bitcoin making a new high, and both of them are going to set up here to make a lower high, okay? And therefore I'm wrong about Bitcoin. It could be that. But one thing I do know is whilst everyone's getting distracted here and quitting and giving up, what I'm seeing here is a tradable swing for the stock market just a couple of weeks away. What I'm also seeing is a blow off top in gold that we've managed to capture via miners and is setting up to give us a nice big correction where we can reload. Again, can't really lose. If the thing just continues to blow off, then we lock down some profit higher up. And if the thing's going to correct, then we load up more, ready for the next weekly cycle to unfold. Happy days, right? Another big opportunity is just around the corner here. And at the same time, the opportunity for Bitcoin is now just about 2 or 3 weeks away. Okay, then we're going to enter the window in about 2 weeks, and we'll be right in the middle in about 3 weeks. So I think even if the tops are in, we've at least got some short-term trade setups coming. We've at least got some lower highs to flip short on. And then in the worst case scenario, we get to be wrong in the best way possible, which is to come back here and say I was wrong. The top's not in. We're going to new highs. But the good news is we're still on trend. We're still riding the profits and we're moving to new highs, okay? Which is an environment the Camel Crew does the best in. So doesn't look too bad to me. I haven't checked the bond market in a while. I'm just wondering what that's looking like. Okay. Not bad, right? Not bad. A little too early to tell, but we'll keep tracking it. And the Dixie still refusing to find a cycle low, isn't it? Still refusing to bottom. So I don't know what to make of that particularly, to be honest. Probably needs a bit more time here. Still yet to confirm. Kind of like Bitcoin's setup as well, right? Bitcoin's still absent of a weekly cycle low. Bitcoin's still absent of a trend line break here. Still completely absent of any kind of weekly swing, any kind of confirmation signal. Does make me wonder if Bitcoin and the dollar are going to bottom together into that weekly cycle low time frame and run together. Because remember, for a long time, typically speaking, for the most part, they're inversely correlated. Dollar up, Bitcoin down, dollar down, Bitcoin up. But what we've been seeing for quite some time now, a good number of months, is both of them moving in the same direction. So both of them have cycle lows to bottom soon. And then I guess the question is, are they both going to rally higher together? It would be weird, but to be honest, weirder things have happened. So I'm your boy Camel. I hope you're doing well. I hope you found some value here today. Consider subscribing if you're not already. Tell any normie friends that have quit the space to come back. At least give it a few weeks, okay? And other than that, have a fantastic rest of the week. Until next time, cheers, bye.
Camel Finance, he's the man to see. Rocking the markets with his contrarian spree. Trades like a pro, no fear, no shame. Sticking to his gun.